He's laughing. He's going to be marked a Kane here. Well, that's a significantly better faction to get in 2 versus 2 from random. Much better combination there for Phoenix. So yeah, that was a bit of luck for Phoenix going into this first game. And he's going to be up here this time playing as the yellow marked of Kane, going for that crane first because there is blue Tiberium on this map. Rex over here going for the crane as well. He's going to be playing as the vanilla Scrin. And there's no changes in the bottom. Cyan, GDI for Futurama, and green nod for drive respectively. Going for that crane power plant coming down. No double ref opening for drive. He went for a power plant prior to his second refinery. He's going for a barracks. I think prioritizing the Tiberium, the blue tib, is significantly better than going for the spike first. Yeah, you see all these players going for the Tiberium spikes. Unless one of the players takes 2 spikes, it doesn't really make sense. See what Futurama and Drive are doing here doesn't really make sense to me because they both delayed their blue Tiberium refinery by about 5 seconds or 7 seconds in the case of Futurama here, because he is GDI. Those power plants take 7 seconds to build. Not a good start, I would say, for them, but doesn't really matter if the rest of the decision making is great on their side. Early scouting wars will go in favor of Phoenix. He's going to be able to see exactly what's going on in Drive's base. Won't have to go for that ever important Raider Buggy Scout first, which is important for many reasons. One of them is you can get all in the start of the game, and Phoenix will want to ensure that he's not being all in. He's actually going to go for the Raider Buggy anyways. I didn't think that would be necessary. There's 2 Awakened squads out. No need to build a buggy for Phoenix. Drive not too preoccupied. He's actually built his Raider Buggy, so I guess he wants to just go and see precisely what's going on. There is the opportunity always for 2 war factories to come out. With the blue Tiberium boost that you get early on, you can push 2 war factory bike buggy pretty hard on this map. Rex over here just going to play passively. Scrin can't really go on the offensive, though they can help their ally with these support powers they get from the nerve center. So the lightning spike can come in handy when your ally is going for a bike push. You can even drop the reconstruction drones down and heal your allies' units. I think that's the most that Scrin can really do to support early on, just because they have a significantly slower army. They don't have the mobility of the GDI and Nod. The GDI have the Pitbull, the Nod have the bikes. The Seekers aren't nearly as fast. Gunwalker will spot the APCs, rockets going into those. Rex will know that he's going to be attacked by APC rockets. He's going to have plenty of time to build up the necessary army to cope with that. He can probably be a little greedy and just eco up a bit further. Oh man, there's a technology assembler down for Rex. What I would do now is build Mechapeds. There's APC rockets coming out. APCs have terrible resistance to gun damage. So if Rex gets a couple shard Mechapeds, he can totally destroy those APCs for free. Mechapeds are pretty great in this situation. Is that engineer APC? No, it's just one random ass APC just coming in to scout the base. He won't see the technology assembler. Warp chasm coming down. Because Futurama is going for those APC rockets, he's not going to be able to hit that timing to cancel the enemy tier 3 with Firehawks. So Futurama is going to let an Eradicator Hexapod from Rex come out. Rex extremely obnoxious with those Hexapods. He is quite a lamer, if I do say so. Drive coming in here with a Flame Tank. Not going to do too much. Phoenix had a silo queued for some reason. You want to make sure you're not floating tons of resources with silos. Oh man, that sucks for Phoenix. Pretty nice teamwork though, you have to admit, for the team in the south. Drive taking up to tier 3 so he can click Phoenix's entire army, while Futurama comes in with that double punch combo with the APCs and Predator tanks. Can Phoenix stop this? He's got tanks out, 5 tanks here for Phoenix. Harvest is not quite going down. There is still a refinery on this expansion field for Phoenix, so he is actually doing okay. I think Drive set himself back a little bit for that fast chem plant. He killed quite a number of Phoenix's units, but Phoenix still has a double ref on this field, and this is committing a lot of attention away from Rex, who's free to do what he likes. And as you can see, he's just coming in here with this Eradicator Hexapod, and he's just going to clean up this whole force here. Drive and Futurama too occupied in taking out Phoenix, completely forgetting that Rex is part of this match. And that's going to mean that Rex is going to most likely win the game here and now, or he's going to do game-ending damage. Eradicator Hexapod is phased, will crush that husk. Tripod's approaching this Marv, gets the EMP off. Rex getting that EMP off on the Marv. Tripod taking a direct hit from the Juggernaut. Jug's extremely good against tripods if the tripods are standing still, but if you move the tripods, then Jugs can struggle to aim tripods down. And this is falling apart here for Drive and Futurama. That combo just did not work, and this force here from Phoenix looks basically unbeatable. There's too many units. Beam cannons have no answer. There's a Redeemer, but this MCV, you know what? It's just going to fall. There's even an Obelisk of Light. And I know Phoenix to be one of the only players who charges his Obelisk of Light. And for all of you who don't know, charging Obelisks provides a 10% range boost per beam cannon and a 10% rate of fire increase. Stacks up to 4 beam cannons. Beyond that, you will not see any additional buff. MCV just gets absolutely obliterated there. Going down. Drive no longer has ground control in this area. He has a Redeemer. The most he can do is stall Phoenix a little while. Rex, has he got his Eradicator Hexapod? I presume he teleported that one back to base. I would be surprised if he did not. I must have missed it if not. For some reason, Rex has lost his Eradicator. Maybe that's what the Venom and Hammerhead were for, to kill the Mastermind. The Hexapod was unable to retreat, and that is what killed the Hexapod. So I read that wrong. Looks like Futurama is doing okay. He killed the Hexapod of Rex, but Drive's still in a bit of a pickle. Phoenix is powering up. Look at all of these avatars. The only thing that Phoenix is missing now is a Redeemer. I would personally race for one. Even though he's in a great position, he needs to prevent Drive from getting back into this game. Drive and Futurama, Drive always relies on Futurama to do all the heavy lifting while he supports and just delays the other side from interfering. Drone ship moving away, almost getting destroyed by the Juggernaut fire. Now, does Rex have enough to defend this off? There's a lot of forces back here for Futurama. Are those garrisoned up with zone troopers? No, they are not. They're just empty hammerheads, but that's going to be great to just aim down this Mastermind. Hammerheads, though, taking splash damage, may both get destroyed, but that's worth it. 2 hammerheads for a Mastermind, I would say, is a worthwhile trade, because it is $2,500 for a Mastermind. It's more expensive than the GDI and non-commando. Eradicator Hexapod out now for Rex. That Mastermind went down previously, and it's up to really Phoenix to win this side of the map as soon as possible so he can save his ally, because Futurama, he is moving in up here with a huge army. He can't really respond to Phoenix's army with Juggernauts because those Jugs are pretty naked without the Marv to support them. So his army's pretty much glued up in the north, whereas this Eradicator Hexbot with its teleportation in the Commando can just jump on top of these Jugs and phase itself. I would phase this. If he doesn't have a phase here, that's pretty disastrous. Yeah, that was a bit late though. He could have phased as soon as he just teleported on to those Jugs. Maybe the cooldown wasn't ready. Phoenix deciding, instead of killing Drive, to assist and destroy Futurama's army. This Marv is getting absolutely beaten down by the force of Phoenix. Look at all of these avatars. And that Marv falls immediately. The Juggernauts are getting some damage dealt on this force, but Drive does simply not have enough. This is, after all, a... Is that a Flame Redeemer? Yeah, it is, because he's not marked of Kane. So it can do some decent damage to structures. The Hexbot was saved, so I think that decision by Phoenix to save his ally was a great one, because the Eradicator Hexbot ultimately does survive. That's nice work. Rex is a bit ballsy though. He does take a lot of risks with his epic units. I personally would have healed this up a little bit further before teleporting on top. Nonetheless, he's pushing through, needs to micro so he doesn't lose his Hex. That's an elite tripod by Rex. If that goes heroic, oh man, that's going to be game for sure. Yeah, GG. Futurama and Drive quit. Pretty close game. I thought it was over when Phoenix had stabilized when the double team happened, but they still won that game despite the what looked to be a comeback from Futurama and Drive. So it makes sense to me, Phoenix picking Nod faction. He may get lucky and receive a Nod again. Let's see if that's the case. No, but he does get Traveler 59, which is a pretty great faction. Now, I'm not sure how good Phoenix's Traveler is, or how he plays with it, but we'll see this game. Phoenix beaconing the Tiberium spikes, of which there are 2 on this map. So up in the top left will be Phoenix playing as the yellow Traveler 59, and his ally Rex will be playing as the purple Scrin. Futurama and Drive going to stick with their factions, so Futurama will be the cyan GDI, and Drive will be the green Vanilla Nod. I think he keeps picking Vanilla Nod because of this preconceived notion that Nod Scorpion tanks with Dozer Blades are OP, but I object to that because if you do the damage calculations, a lot of the units don't take more shots to kill Dozer Blade Scorpion tanks. For instance, Predator tanks, Mammoth tanks, Marv, Sonic Emitter, all that stuff kills Scorps in the same number of shots as it did when Dozers only conferred 15% additional armor. The 25% value was what it was in patch 1.0, and all the Tiberium Wars patches. It was only changed in 1.02 because there was a lot of Nod all-in strategies with Scorpion tanks. The patch team that did 1.02 was actually the developer team behind the Medal of Honor series back then. They weren't the devs of Command & Conquer 3 Kane's Wrath. It was more of a stats patch than a fix patch. A lot of changes were questionable. The Traveler 59 Advanced Articulator buff, for instance, was not a positive change. It made a lot of the units pretty busted. For example, the Cultist squad with that 10% speed buff was unnecessary. It also made Ravagers impossible to catch, and Disintegrators were destroying Raider buggies when the original speed that they had, they were pretty balanced against Raider buggies, so it felt unnecessary. The only thing they had to change back in the day was the Advanced Articulator upgrade cost, because it was $2,000 a minute respectively. That only had to be reduced to 1,000. I think that's all that Traveler required. But they over-egged it as they did with the Mecha P. Mecha P was OP, and then they just over-nerfed it, and then they buffed it again the next patch. That's just how the cookie crumbles. That's how you balance things when you know you've only got one chance to balance the game, because there's only one patch left before you get sacked from the project, or the project is over. Now, patch team didn't last very long, but I haven't been talking very much about this particular game here because there was a Reckoner. It didn't do very much. Killed a power plant. That's not really too much though, is it? Futurama coming in though with a couple of rocket APCs, going to kill Rex's harvester. Rex losing that harvester straight away, forced to put down the photon cannon. Not worth it. If you aren't guaranteed to kill an enemy unit, there's no real point in placing a defensive turret like that. So Phoenix, he is trapped the 9, so there's going to be no attenuated force fields for those Seekers. Does Drive have an operations center? No, he does not. He's pushing in though with an MCV, so both him and his ally can place base defenses to stop those annoying cultists from taking the Scorpion tanks, because that is really Traveler 59's strength. Here comes the photon cannons from both players temporarily going offline on power. Rex, we see he is getting some eco down in the top of the map, but Phoenix is in a lot of trouble here. Drive is pretty much all in with this push. Futurama has got a refinery. Rex also with a refinery. And this push is just going to keep Rex busy while Drive cleans up Phoenix's army. A wall of photon cannons for the Scrin players, but without a technology assembly, this is going to be hard to stop this whole army of Scorpion tanks. I think what's required here is a tripod, a storm column, and a really good temporal wormhole, or even a prodigy at this point. I think Phoenix is a long way off from a technology assembler, so expect to see this base fall relatively soon. This drone platform is going to be focused down, and then Phoenix is going to be pushed out of the match. Looks like Rex is not doing too much better in his base, so this game is going to go pretty convincingly to Drive and Futurama. They had a more well-conceived strategy than their opponents. They came into this match knowing what they were doing, and they executed their build perfectly. Cultist here for Phoenix. He's moving those in. Drive's aware of it. The MCV is a good addition to this push because base defenses can be dropped from both Drive and Futurama. Remember, Futurama is GDI, so those watchtowers can be upgraded with AP ammo, and those cultists are going to be essentially useless then. There's just so many Scorpion tanks here that I think that Drive doesn't even care if one or two of them gets captured by the forces of Phoenix. He's just going to focus down the last of the production structures of Phoenix and remove Phoenix out of this match. Is Rex still alive over here? Yes, he is. 2 war factories for Futurama. Futurama just keeping Rex at bay. Devourer tanks out here, both of which are charged, but there's a lot of Pred tanks. A couple of disintegrators mixed in would be good just to stop the Preds from closing in. That's a lot of Predator tanks. Storm Riders would have been an excellent transition. If both players had went Storm Riders, can you imagine that? That's going to be it though. But we'll see. We did hear a drone platform fall before. So it could be that Rex has no drone ship. The Scrin players have no drone platform. So it's really only a matter of time. It's very rare that you see Scrin win without their tier 3. Devourer tanks could use with a buff, in my opinion. My proposal is to give them the attenuated force fields upgrade. in maybe R20 if I had my own way, because it makes it so the early game cheese is not better, but then at the same time the Devourer tank is a little bit better going into the late game. I don't know why it did not receive the attenuated force field upgrade in the first place. Every other screen unit has them except the Corruptor and the Dev tank. But these Dev tanks will be going down. Infantry with that composite armor, very resilient. And we're going to go into a 1-1 in this best of 9 2 versus 2 series with these 4 players. So that is that. That game was almost decided on that push that Drive did on Phoenix. Traveler not good at holding those unscouted MCV pushes. Let's see how screwed or how lucky he gets with the random. Phoenix gonna chance this on the dice roll. Not lucking out too well, getting a faction without artillery. Reaper 17 and Zocom, the 2 factions in Kane's Wrath without an artillery unit. So again, it's going to be an awkward situation because Rex and Phoenix are both Scrin factions, and I think they don't synergize all that well together. At least with a Nod ally, you can stealth the allies' base, stealth the Eradicator Hexapod. There's all sorts of combos you can do. But 2 Scrins, I can't seem to think of anything. But we'll see what they can make of this. It's going to make them particularly vulnerable to fast hawk strategies, because there's going to be double the trouble when it comes to bombing the technology assembler. Futurama over on the right hand side, sticking with that GDI and Drive with the vanilla Nod. We're probably going to see a lot of Dozer, Blade, Scorpion tanks with laser capacitors. I expect that to be a thing. Storm Riders could make their appearance this match, we shall see. I think they are the answer. Drive going to capture the 2 Tiberium spikes. It's usually the player that spawns in the top that gets both Tiberium spikes. I guess that's just an agreed upon strategy on this map that everyone follows. Like, the bottom player always packs their MCV up to expand for the top player, when really the top player can move his MCV to the middle if he chooses. We don't see that all that often. Seeker here for Rex. Looks like they're going to scout with a Seeker. That's something that you rarely see. Seeker's going to be coming out. Just 1 though. And a quick recap on this map. There is a blue Tiberium field in the south. And both sides have 2 tip spikes, which are a point of contention early on for harassment. Flame tank rushes and descent rushes, I think, can work on this map, because you can kill these spikes early on, and I think that's a pretty good win if you can secure a spike lead on this map. Refinery coming down for Rex. I think Rex is the purple. Yeah, it's hard to tell sometimes the blue and the purple screen. Shard walkers and gun walkers coming out at the same time. It's yeah, it's gonna be awkward. I think we're gonna see situations where both sides have made too many of the same unit, and you're not gonna have the most ideal of unit compositions going forward. But with Reaper 17, it's almost certainly going to be tripod spam. And if I were in the DMs with Phoenix and Rex, I would be screaming to Rex, don't you dare put those growth accelerators on my field. I've got the growth stimulators, and those are better. You get $15 every 5 seconds with those. They are superior to the Skrins. So little arguments that you would have with this team combination. Bike buggy out in force for Drive. Not enough Seekers to fend this back. That's a lot of units. Drive must have went for 2 war factories prior to his 3rd refinery. This tier spike, as I mentioned before. Drive's looking for that spike advantage. He's going to take out one of Rex's tip spikes. But I think that was pretty ideal because this base was exposed. Could have gone to the base with the bike buggy alongside the APC rockets and killed this force, I reckon. The 2nd spike will fall. That's nice work by Drive. Or actually, never mind. Maybe he won't choose to do so. He's pretty determined to destroy this spike. These Seekers, while they don't look too menacing, they can be if shield suddenly gets researched in the midst of a battle. So while you may think you have the edge, that upgrade can come online and change things completely. Fortunately for Drive, there are no shields on the way. I think it's a good thing to upgrade if you're spamming this many Seekers. Seeker spam isn't the worst of ideas with the shard launchers. I've seen worse strats, especially if Futurama has fast firehawks on his mind. If both the Scrim players commit to mass shard seekers, then you can do some pretty insane work with shard seekers. That harvester was destroyed. Not sure why there are 2 harvesters for Rex on this middle green field. He should have sent them ideally to the blue field though. Futurama has this secured with a bunch of predators. APCs out as well. This is a intimidating army. Growth stimulator is starting to come down by Phoenix. You can see there's illumination on those now. They're a little bit nicer looking. Beacon coming down for Drive, just beaconing it to me, saying that I've stealthed these flame tanks, so don't miss it in your cast, because when I watch your cast, you miss like 90% of things that are going on, so I'm gonna just tell you what I'm doing. So there's 4 stealth flame tanks. They are not flame tanks, but nonetheless, these curveball tactics are going to probably work out well. There's no seekers to detect the stealth. Yeah, this entire screen base is exposed to stealth flame tanks. I feel like that's going to do it. I feel like Drive's just going to kill the technology assembly. You know what he could do? He could put one of the flame tanks near both of the scrim players' tech centers and kill both simultaneously. He's got such an element of surprise. It's not like GDI and Nod where there's always going to be a need to have a load of pitbulls and bikes. So even if you aren't expecting stealth units, there's always going to be some form of detection for those factions on the map. Whereas with Skrin, you want to stop making Seekers pretty quickly. When both of the players are Skrin, this is what happens. Oh, Storm Column was actually queued by Rex. That's nice work there. But it was a bait because there are 2 flame tanks, a second one right there. The tripod will come in to intercept. Nice awareness there by Phoenix. Phoenix has these not charged up with the green glow, that plasma missile battery there, detecting the flame tank pretty conveniently for him. And this is maybe setting up for a 1-click. Drive trying to kill this refinery. He's just about gonna get it before the flame tank gets impeded. Now, we did see 4 of those flame tanks get cloaked before. Not sure where the other 2 went. Hexapod coming in. Was the mastermind killed though? Can this retreat and fall back to base? Yes, it can. We sometimes see Rex lose his Eradicator Hexapod unnecessarily. 5 tripods there. And despite the element of surprise by Drive, those flame tanks were dispatched. That did a lot less damage than what I thought. Both of the tier 3s live. The Eradicator survives, albeit at low health. Probably want to get the repair drone support power down and start healing that one up. As you can see, Phoenix beaconing it there, saying, look, that can die to pretty much anything. Maybe you should heal it up. Does Rex have a warp sphere? Yes, he does. Maybe he is tight when it comes to resources. Neither player has used their stasis shield. Now there is the potential for 2 stasises in a single engagement, which is crazy broken. So the moment one stasis wears off, the other stasis comes down, and you basically cannot lose the engagement. That's a huge army of infantry. This may have been spotted. That's a Seeker. Seekers detect stealth. This was spotted. Devastator warships needs to be at the top of Rex's mind. We're hoping that he's got dev ship on his mind. He'll need more than 1 gravity stabilizer, because this is a late scout. Now what Rex can do is take these 4 corruptors and phase them and just stomp all over this infantry. Get resources from the hexapod at the same time. There is a hexapod moving in. Not sure why he teleported into a bunch of raider buggies with EMP coils. That's a little bit unnecessary. Laser scorpion tanks moving into this position. And this is going to be a pretty awkward fight. Where is Phoenix's army? Phoenix has tripods, but he doesn't have enough. For some reason, Phoenix just doesn't have much resources. Support powers coming down from both sides. I would say that the Shockwave did more, funnily enough, because all these tripods will be locked down and killed. Redeemer will be destroyed. Maybe if Rex is paying attention, he would phase, EMP that. Looks like he accidentally EMP'd his own Eradicator Hexapod. More Sonic emitters coming down. Needs to lock down that Redeemer once again. This Eradicator Hexapod moving in, and unfortunately that Hexapod blocked. That was an unfortunate stasis. I don't think he was supposed to get both of the epic units in it. I think the plan was that the Hexapod kills the Redeemer and then jumps on top of the Juggernauts, but ultimately that did not happen. I think that may have been game ending. Yeah, with the EMP going down on that Hexapod, that's going to be game. 2 scrins are never really a good idea, but it is Phoenix's fault for picking the random. Rex did well, but Phoenix, his army was absent that game. He had 4 or 5 Reaper tripods, but besides that, not a whole lot much else. Which was in 2012, so the biggest update in 10 years was R19. I devoted a significant amount of time, energy to doing that. The change list, I'm sure you guys are familiar with at this point. It is a continuation of the patch I started with in the 4K mod that made R18 better, where it showed those, those different skins and made visual quality of life changes. Many changes have been made. The list is pretty much endless. If I had made a complete list, it would be insane, quite frankly. So I stuck to the main points, the things that people need to know about, which is the balance changes. There was a lot of balance changes in R19. Japan 2 versus 1. 2-1. Oh, really? That's... Well, does that mean that Germany is now disqualified from the World Cup? That is a first, isn't it? Oh, thank you very much, Shenra. for the 5 subs. Thanks for casting. No, don't. You are extremely kind. I think everyone is extremely grateful for your continued support with these show matches, providing a lot of entertainment for everyone to watch, including myself. It's been nice to participate in these show matches and also cast them as well. But thank you very much for the gifted subs, man. Really do appreciate that. So let's get into this game now. Summon the Bullist in the house. We've got Futurama up here as the Cyan GDI. Drive. We'll be playing as the Green Nod. No changes right there. And in the south we got as the Blue GDI. It's going to be Phoenix. Nice faction for him this time. And Rex is like, I've had enough of this screen. If my ally keeps getting screen, you know what? I'm just going to pick Nod so we can't get royally screwed over. And I like his rational thinking. Rex, pretty smart. He's going to be playing as the vanilla Nod, so probably Scorpion Tanks on his mind. I do think the Nod is his best faction. Even though he picks Scrin and Traveler all the time, I do believe he should play more of the other two, at least in money show matches and in events. Now Rex will be playing in that $1,000 1v1 tournament, the biggest tournament this year and last year. I don't believe we had an event last year with such a total cash prize pool. Scorpion Tanks coming out for Drive. Pretty unusual to see Scorps early on. Usually you build those to defend your base when you're being attacked, but there's nothing coming. Just a regular eco strategy. Unless you're green 0, Scorpion Tanks without upgrades are pretty balanced. If it's green 0, they're suddenly, I quote, insanely broken. That's right, guys. Scorpion Tanks without Dozer Blades now are insanely broken, according to green 0. And I've stuffed up the patch. I've done something to the Scorpion Tank, and now they're suddenly insanely broken. And that is without Dozer Blades. So yeah, these insanely broken Scorpion Tanks falling by the numbers there. The Pitbulls, however, coming into this base by Futurama, not much to really oppose them, but Pitbulls are pathetically hopeless against Harvesters and killing them. There's actually so much DPS here that the screen is shaking. I like the details in this game. When there's so much damage, rocket damage, the screen literally shakes. The devs back then really had a great imagination. They did a fantastic job on this game. They weren't given enough time to polish it enough, but I think we all can appreciate what it ended up being. So this army of Pitbulls is being thinned out considerably. There's a second war factory for Rex. He's going to be able to beat back the rest of this force. There's a counter-attack coming in for Phoenix. There's literally nothing there for Drive to hold this back. Fanatics or bust pretty much at this point. This base is toast. There pretty much has to be an obelisk of light on the way, or else he cannot hope to stop this. A laser turret? Yeah, okay, that's just going to stall the advance for like 2 seconds. This laser turret, I know they're good, but they're not that good. Even 2 foxholes dug in there by Phoenix for good measure. He decides to pull back as Futurama is going to save his ally. Drive, is he taking up at all? No, he is not even on tier 2. Not a good position to be in if you're Drive. Tier 1 being under attack. Whereas we see over here, Phoenix on that tier 2. Not researching AP ammo, but he does not need it just yet. A lot of Predator tanks, not something you see every day, folks. A Pred v Pred fight in a GDI clash. Usually it's a lot of aircraft by now. No airfield, never mind. Scratch that. Phoenix going for the double airfield Orca. Maybe he's planning to upgrade hardpoints from this one, but forgot to research it. So let us see what happens here. Scorpion tanks moving up to the north. Rex is in a pretty solid position. He's been basically untouched for the last minute. So I like this Konya placement by Rex as well, because he's going to be able to put Obelisk of Light on the other side of this ridge. And that's going to be great for him. He may even be able to base crawl with a tier 2 or a secret shrine. That one beam cannon though is just going to be pesky. Rex wants to keep it alive for a little longer. Drive being a nuisance, he's still in this game, but only just. He's not been able to tech to tier 3, just gets the tech down now. Futurama, no railguns on the way for him. Wait a second, no one's getting railguns. Look how many pred tanks is on this map. You would think they would, you would definitely think that railguns would be beneficial. And in R19, the Guardian Cannon with railguns was buffed significantly. The buff with railgun Guardian Cannons in R19 was significant. And I think a lot of players are not abusing that. But it just gives you more reason to purchase that upgrade. Laser capacitors coming in for the nod player. Wow, what's going on now? Wow, holy crap. 5 gifted subs. Yazy, Ronnie. Jesus, thank you very much. Really do appreciate that. I don't know what to say when I see things like that. But yeah, man, I really do appreciate the support on my Twitch channel. As you guys know, this game is... I was just thinking about this game for a second. Like, if either one of these Nob players went for a Tiberium chemical plant and just used a tip vein, they would have been able to destroy the majority of these tier 1 armies. They didn't... Neither player went for their tier 4, which is interesting to me. You know what I also think on this map? I think in the middle there could be a blue Tiberium field. I think if you put one here, may make it an additional point of contention. Though does it need it? Is the terrain interesting enough to not warrant a blue tip field? I'm watching in 360p and still lagging. The lag is not on my end. I'm getting 0 frame drops on my end. For once, guys, I can report to you that I do not have any technical issues with my stream. It's official. The Leaf stream now works. Only took 2 years for my streams to work, but I can say, you know, confidently now that it will work. Sonic emitters coming down, Obelisk of Light coming down, raining havoc on this army of tier 1 pred spam. And these Sonic emitters by Phoenix cleaning up the entirety of this army. Now there is a bug with Sonic emitters and by extension Shadow tanks, where if units are stacking up, the Sonic emitter will deal 300% more damage to that unit. That's right, guys, I am not kidding. 300% more damage when units are stacked up. It is a bug, yes. That's why sometimes you see Mecha P's die in 1 shot, and other times they die in 2 shots. Because there's a bug. But nice to know, I suppose. It can be fixed. I was told to fix by Darth Jane Lauren about 2 years ago. It's somewhere in my Discord history. So if I want to fix that in the future, I will just have to scroll up by that amount and see what it is. But it would be a nice fix. The bug is meta now, I know. It's sort of normal, even though it's not normal. But I think if it can be fixed, it should be fixed. That's my view on that. So maybe an R20, that should be fixed. Stealth tanks. Never really liked the idea of them against Nod. I don't think they do anything in that matchup. You can't detect harvesters with them. Look at the stack on those harvesters. He may have damaged them just enough to kill one, but never mind, not quite enough. Of course, in 1.02 Plus, the Catalyst missile does not one-shot kill harvesters. You have to damage them quite a bit to kill the harvester. That was a balance change implemented many years ago. Tip Vane coming down on this army of Juggernauts. Not quite getting any of them. A little bit of collateral damage there, killing his own bike. Nothing really fell for Futurama. He didn't lose anything. Now, who is actually in command of this game right now? It seems like there's a little bit of a standstill. Redeemer popping out for drive. He's the weakest of the 4 players. While I would say Futurama is in the stronger position with these Juggernauts. A lot of avatars out for Rex. I don't know if avatars is the way to go on this map. Those bikes that he sacked before would have been better on the avatars to detect stealth. Because avatars, if you didn't know guys, they can have stealth detection when you equip an attack bike. And that is legitimately a thing. So rather than invest 10 grand into cheap tier 1 stealth detecting units, you can just equip your avatar with a bike and do that job. MCV pushing out for Phoenix. There's a sensor pod right there. Not sure who that belongs to. I'm going to go to the Fog of War because I'm curious if that's Futurama's. No, it's not. So that's going to be Phoenix's sensor pod. Little Tiberium field in the bottom there. Never really notice it. I keep forgetting it even exists. I think it starts off with no Tiberium and then grows slowly over time. Orca Strike coming in, as well as 3 Firehawks. Do they have hard points on them? No, they don't. But if they did, then this fence tech sensor can be destroyed. There's something in this game called taper off damage. So if your damage is slightly off center of the tech sensor, then it won't deal the full damage of the Firehawk. So you want to make sure when you're focus firing the ground that it's not too far away from the structure, or else you won't deal the damage you need to destroy it. That's funny. There's a sensor pod on top of an avatar. What is this teamwork I'm seeing here? So the avatar, rather than it getting a bike, it has a sensor pod on it. Man, Phoenix sometimes with the team plays, it's funny to watch. These sensor pods can be put on top of Tiberium as well, and they cannot be removed without harvesting the tip crystal. Marv assembly complete. That can only mean that Phoenix has his Marv. Oh, tech sensor about to be dropped there by Futurama. Rex losing his tech, but he does have his Tiberium core missile upgrade, so bike buggy can still be produced. I think beam cannons is a great unit to spam right now. Artillery is the name of the game against this situation. I think the first player at the moment to build a super weapon as well has an advantage. This is where super weapons come into play. This is why super weapons were devised in Command & Conquer, for situations like this where neither side can really push out and it's sort of like a stalemate. This is why super weapons are in the game. No one has decided yet to build one, but I would think around about now it's on the top of their minds. A lot of Tiberium left for Drive because he's been under attack almost non-stop this game. He's had not had enough time to harvest as much as the others. Phoenix is doing a decent job there, pulling his harvesters off the line so his tip fields regrow. His experience is showing in this game. Really staying on top of the stealth detection with those sensor pods, so they're not going to be jumped by anything. And this sensor pod here is even still there. They are stealthed. Surely Drive must know by now that there is something going on. Venoms can kill sensor pods, so I would build one of those. Oh, here we go. There's the first super weapon. The second super weapon there, literally 50 seconds after I said super weapons would determine this game. It's so on cue, you couldn't make it up. So both of those players and myself recognized that this is the time to build a super weapon. This is great for Rex and Phoenix, because now when Futurama and Drive pushes out, they're going to be attacking, and the attacker always loses more than the defender. So what's going to happen here is Rex and Phoenix are going to have their units positioned significantly better, whereas Futurama, when he pushes out, he's going to have all of his juggernauts probably clumped up together, ripe for a shockwave artillery. So even if the super weapons don't get the chance to fire off, it's still going to have that effect of forcing an engagement to happen. It's going to force Drive and Futurama to come out of their turtle, out of their bases, and attack. The clock is ticking. There is no need though to push out with a Marv. Phoenix needs to ensure that he doesn't lose this Marv, because that's a significant blow if he does. They just built 2 super weapons. All they have to do is sit back and wait 5 minutes. Rage generator comes off. Nice work. That actually did stall the advance of Drive's army. That rage gen did significant damage, even killing the commando. Yeah, the commando fell as well to that rage gen. That was a very nice rage by Rex. Oh, that was a bit early in my opinion. Maybe not. Maybe the Juggernauts can hold this back. This fight is happening. EMP's coming down on both epic units. The massive computer countermeasures was used a bit too late. This fight is going terribly, I think, for... Actually, hold on a second. What is going on here? Orbital bombardment on the Juggernauts. This is just an absolute cluster. I'm going to quote Green Zero. I'm not sure what to say, but it's all happening right now. Juggernauts going down. I think the team on the left will take this. It seems to be the case, at least now, but then the Spectres decide to move forward instead of use their attack. Oh, what are these Juggernauts doing? Phoenix! Rex is going to assist by crushing all of this infantry. Drive still there with his epic unit. There's no flame for the Redeemer for Rex. This Redeemer taking damage. That stealth tank is going to be quite an issue as well. Oh man, if that Redeemer falls, that's a pretty big loss. Cloaking Field does get used. No quad turrets, interestingly. for some reason, this fight it's turned around. Okay, now kill the Juggernauts. EMP the Jugs and kill them. Never mind, I guess. Very messy fight. There's only 2 epic units left, both of which are Redeemers. This one here has 2 Engineers in it, so it's going to repair a little bit quicker than Dry's Redeemer. Rex needs to micro. He doesn't have very many units, but he needs to make sure he micros them well and just build Raider Buggies at this point so he can EMP the Jugs and the Redeemer. Raider Buggies with EMP coils at this point only. That's all he needs to build. Deals with the aircraft as well. The Raider Buggies with that laser capacity upgrade have also received love in R19. You get a little bit more damage against infantry too. So what I would do here is just sell this chemical plant and the operations center and queue Raider Buggies from the Redeemer engineering facility and war factory. Now the Redeemer engineering facility, for all you guys who don't know, is the only epic war factory that doesn't queue normal units slower than the regular war factory. The Reclamator Hub and Warp Chasm have a delay before units come out, so it actually makes them worse for queuing normal units. But the Redeemer engineering facility doesn't have that issue. It's the same exact duration. So you're not penalized for having that war factory. But it's an interesting trade-off because the Redeemer engineering facility has that animation where the Redeemer comes out, and that's like, what, 4 seconds? But then on the flip side, if you decide to keep the Redeemer engineering facility, then every other unit that comes out takes less time than the other 2. I don't know if that was deliberate, but it's odd. Tiberium Pantanice. I think that's how you say it. Anyways, it's going to be Nod, Skrin, GDI Nod. Looks like Phoenix has had enough of random. He's going to be going with GDI. So here we see GDI for Phoenix in the bottom. Going to be playing as the blue faction once again. Nice how they are sticking with their factions and rather their colors, because that just makes it easier for people who decide to upload something to YouTube later on. So, nice win by them in that previous game on Hurricane Lands. Nice teamwork as well with the center pods from Phoenix on Rex's units. A little bit messy towards the end, but they did achieve the win. I think that Phoenix overcommitted with his Marv. He didn't have to push out. When you have a super weapon and your opponent doesn't have a super weapon, then there's no real reason for you to move out. Because what the super weapon does is it forces your opponent to move out of his base instead, and that's where you get the effect of the super weapon. Anyway, up in the top of the map in this game will be Futurama as the Cyan Skrin and his ally Drive as the green Nod. Looks like Futurama is going with the Skrin, so we're going to see a little bit of Skrin represented in this game. A lot of faction variety in this event. Let's just reflect on the factions that we're seeing. We're seeing a nice spread of all the factions. We're seeing GDI, we're seeing Nod and Skrin in most of the games. So that's a good, I would say a good sign, as to say that it's pretty balanced. No Black Hand though. The Black Hand faction with that blue flame is something that cannot go amiss. Maybe in 2 versus 2 it's a little weaker, but I've shown it to be good as well against Phoenix and Rex. If you've seen my 2 versus 2 video where I teamed with Drive, I made that blue flame strat work even in the 2 versus 2. Marked of Kane as well can never be a bad option in 2 versus 2 because they have unlimited EMP. Stealth for days. They are just such a great faction to support your ally. I consider the worst faction to be Steel Talons in 1v1 and 2 versus 2. And I don't think balance is going to change it, balance patches. Because they were, how can I put this, watered down too much. They don't have sonic emitters, they don't have advanced infantry. They miss a lot. Plus the Pred tank is strangely enough better than the Titan. So even GDI gets the better armor, which is not supposed to be the case. The Titan did get a 10% armor increase in 1.02 plus, for all of you who don't know that, and they still are not that great. The score is currently 2-2. This push is coming in though for Rex. Not gonna get too far. Looks like there's a little bit of contention over this blue Tiberium field. Bike buggy in the south for drive. That's really the strength of the bikes against the Preds and slow units. You can choose the engagement, whereas the slow units you have to be in position. They are superior to the bikes, the Predator tanks, but getting them into position always against these bikes is a problem. Speed is a very viable thing. I really love the detail, the attention to detail on this map. It's pretty crazy. The lighting as well, can't really fault it too much. Drive doing well with these bikes. And what has Phoenix got to defend this off? He doesn't have a whole lot there. I'm surprised that Drive is pulling back. Drive could have gone in and killed a couple of harvesters. But he's playing smart. He's going to thin out these tanks one by one. This may prompt Rex to help Phoenix. Rex is actually pushing in up here, killing Futurama's army. Futurama is in trouble. This army of Rex is just moving in. And Phoenix does hold because he is the GDI. The Pred tanks, I guess, after all, will prevail. They are much better in a situation like that where you are trying to defend. Scorpion tanks without dozer blades probably could have had the dozer blade upgrade, I reckon, if it were Drive. Maybe could have went all in, sold his MCV, got the dozer blades. Maybe that push could have done it. Maybe that could have sown the seeds of the fate of Phoenix. But we see that Phoenix has a fully established expansion up here, harvesting quite freely. Whereas Drive, actually never mind, Drive does have the same going for him. Warp Chasm coming down for Futurama. He's get out that Eradicator Hexball. We have not seen a pack, ladies and gentlemen, for about, well, for a long time. I can't remember the last time I saw a pack in a game. I'm trying to think, when was the last time I saw one, and can't remember. Was it removed from the game? But yeah, packs, should they get a buff? Should they not? Hard to say. I think it's one of those units where it's a bit risky to change because it can break the game very easily. Oh, and that's not good at all for Futurama. The Devastator warship's completely out of position. One getting taken out immediately. That was pretty much a freebie. Dev Clump insane. Yeah, the thing is though, Raider Buggies do not deal splash damage. Oh, Bike Buggy. This is a bit of an overcommitment into bikes. I don't like this from Drive. There's railguns out now for Phoenix. I'd be feeling pretty confident if I were Phoenix right now. Railguns versus unupgraded bikes. Definitely, I would definitely be preferred to be in Phoenix's shoes. These bikes cannot really hope to achieve very much now. Phoenix can go for those upgraded guiding cannons as well if he chooses against the Bike Buggy. Dozer Scorps moving into this base. Futurama closing in on this army. And it looks like this whole army of Rex will be stopped and annihilated. Scorps all going down. That was disastrous by Rex. Rex, he got that free Devastator kill and then just thrown away his entire army. He has nothing left now. That has shifted the momentum of this game significantly. And now Rex is beaconing his ally Phoenix, who now pretty much has to 1v2 this game. Railgun Predator tanks up here. Those are going to get taken out as well. The Marv is out here for Phoenix. That's incredibly slow. That won't make it in time to the top of the map. There's Mammoth tanks out for Phoenix. One out. That's not enough. The Redeemer's going to pop out soon for drive. So this game is not decided just yet. But I would say it is tipping in favor of Drive and Futurama just because of that colossal mistake by Rex to push in. No garrisons in this map besides the Zone Trooper, which he got by selling his Reclamator hub. Harvesters could be called here to harvest some of this blue Tiberium. Railguns, I mean, we saw that upgraded by Phoenix, but he hasn't really made use of it as much as he could have. When you have railguns, when you spend so much resources on railguns, it's best to build units that can make use of it. Predator tanks, Mammoth tanks. I think Preds are the way to go. Very good balance between armor and firepower. I think the Mammoth tanks on a map as open as this would perform poorer than Pred Spam, because Pred Spam, you can just send them up into your opponent's base and then respond to an attack elsewhere. They have good compromises, good pros. I would say the Pred Spam is better than the Mammoths. Black Handscock going to kill a Tiberium Spike. That's a pretty good pickup there by Drive. Not much has happened since that fight took place where Rex lost his Scorp army. Stealth tanks out. This one I think was detected by a rifleman. So, what is this upgrade? Is this tungsten? Yeah, Phoenix got tungsten shells. He obviously plans to go slingshots to kill the dev ships, though there is only one dev ship. Redeemer does not have engineers garrisoned in it. Disruption tower will be destroyed, and this slow push will commence by Futurama. He's just probably waiting for his support powers to reset. Remember, he did use the stasis shield, so he's probably waiting for that stasis to come back again. Yeah, he's a long way off from getting a stasis again. I think that's what his plan is. Their plan is to just sit back, build a lot of tripods, and just wait. Oh man, look at that. That must be so frustrating. That stealth tank re-stealths just in time. He can probably even kill another Firehawk and re-stealth, but no, not taking the chance. That is frustrating. Phoenix is beaconing this field to say, look, I have all the money in the world, but you have none left, Rex. What are you going to do about it? You need to try and contest this field of Futurama. Futurama, if he's left to harvest this entire Tiberium field, then he's going to have an almost unstoppable army. Planetary assault carriers would be a pretty good option at this point. With that many tripods, I think packs would be a good option for just to mix it up a little bit more. Because the tripods will provide ample cover against slingshots, so that the packs are defended reasonably well against them. And then the packs can just lay waste on jugs. That's what they are good at. Stealth tanks in the back there by Rex this time. So those are going to be doing a little bit of damage here and there. I don't think Phoenix and Rex are on comms, but these guys are playing very tactically, very methodically. Both sides not taking any risks now. They're just assessing the situation. Looks like Futurama's had enough. He's going to push. Does he have a Stasis Shield ready? If not, then this was silly. Yeah, Stasis Shield is almost done, so we can see the plan all along was to wait until the Stasis Shield is done, and what's going to happen here is the Stasis will come down on this Redeemer. And there we see the Stasis come off, but not before the Rage Gen was used. I think the timing could have been a little bit better. Nonetheless, though, Rage Gen comes off by Rex, and that's a massive wall of sonic emitters. These tripods are just running into their deaths. These tripods just all clumping around this one sonic emitter. Sonic emitter not even impede. Could have got some significant damage dealt on those tripods. And this army is falling incredibly quickly. The force multiplier is in full force for Futurama. The Redeemer falls there for Rex. And the engineers are being queued to take these husks. That's a dual beam avatar by Drive. He's got them dual beamed, or at least one of them. And where is Phoenix's Marv? Yeah, Marv's up here. He's going to kill a Conyard, but that's not quite enough. I think an army of zone heads would be a great thing to have, but I don't think Phoenix has enough time anymore to build up an air force. He's got a harvester bug happening on his refinery. That's unfortunate. Yeah, that's actually stopping him from getting resources. That's unfortunate to see. In fact, it does correct itself. Nice. I guess that's great for him. At least it's not 360 Xbox 360 Rage Generator. In 1.0, I think it's 10 seconds. The Rage Gen lasts. Way too long. But then the cooldown was significantly longer as well, but you only need to use it once really to win the game. On PC, you can avoid the damage you take from rage units by having your units pre-selected and then spamming the S key on your keyboard. Then your units will stop firing at themselves. A little bit of an exploit. I believe this is to be an exploit, but it is accepted by everyone as part of the game. You can do the same thing with the units affected by the Confessor Cabal hallucinogenic grenades. $50,000 a patch. Well, is that really a lot for EA? I don't know why they charged that much in the first place to upload a 50 megabyte patch back in the day. A bit astronomical, if you ask me. I think nowadays it's easier on console to patch your game than it was before. But then back in the day, you were incentivized to get your game correct on day one. Whereas nowadays, they just basically offer you a beta product, a work in progress while the game gets finished. Okay, guys, that just killed 2 stealth tanks. If this tripod falls, it could go heroic. Kill the tripod. Oh my god, if this goes heroic, oh, it's not going to go heroic, but he may get it heroic. If this goes heroic, nah, it won't. It's not close to going heroic, is it? Is there EMP on the way? This Eradicator Hexpod may fall. If this Corruptor is targeted, then maybe. It's not going to be quite enough though. The Marv does fall. That was so close to being promoted to heroic, I reckon, because it killed a tripod and 2 stealth tanks. very close indeed to promoting to that heroic status, and a heroic Marv can pretty much kill anything. And with that, I think Phoenix is going to be out of luck. He's got Firehawks, but what he really needs is zone heads. Hammerheads loaded up with zone troopers. But they're going to keep trying, even though there's literally no chance of them making a comeback. Look at this army up here. It's simply overwhelming. That must have been originally Drive's avatar, and then Futurama reclaimed it with a engineer, and then it became Futurama's dual beam avatar. There's another one over there by Drive. Drive obviously watching my videos, watching my streams. Upgrading his avatar with that dual beam gives you 120% more DPS on the avatar. For $1,000, you get 120% more damage per second on your avatar. Now that's up to you whether you think it's worth it or not. Does make your avatar technically more expensive, but it's actually better for ranking the avatar up because it's a significantly better unit, and you can rank it up easier with that additional firepower. It still ranks up the same as if it were a $2,200 unit. Eradicator Hexball moving into this base. There's no chance. There's more than one screen full of units. This is like Senna's army in a 1v1 in a typical game versus Senna. If you don't harass him in the first 2 minutes of the match, this is what the battle looks like, and your army is probably half the size of it. Four mammoth tanks will make a valiant last stand in this Nod stronghold. Is it going to be enough? The hexapod was EMP'd. Rex and Phoenix will fight on. Rex sees the writing on the wall. That is gonna be it for this game. Phoenix is gonna allow the destroy all buildings win condition to be a thing. Though he does have a Conyard over on the left hand side. Phoenix, he thought he had a chance there. He was ready to pop down his refinery and start claiming some of that Tiberium, but you know what, I think it was slipping a bit too much from him at that point. He needed zone heads. Zone heads would have been great that game. We did not see any, unfortunately. The lack of aircraft from the GDI, aside from the Firehawks, was a little disappointing. I think you have to build zone heads in a 2 versus 2 in that situation. I would ideally like it to be a 3-3. I'm unbiased. Anyway. Oh, Black Hand. Nice. We're seeing all the factions today. Literally all the factions, besides Zocom and Steel Talons. That's to be expected, though, isn't it? Because Zocom and Steel Talons just lack too much. It's not that again, I'll say it again, they just were watered down too much. You can't have a faction without artillery. The only reason that Reaper 17 is more competitively viable than Zocom is because Reaper tripods are vehicles, and it's typically harder and more expensive to counter vehicles than it is aircraft. For example, if you've got a bunch of Zone Raider Hammerheads, you can counter them with a $800 Shard plasma missile battery, whereas you can't counter a Reaper tripod with an $800 structure. So it makes that compromise a little bit better for Reaper 17, not having artillery, if that made sense. Anyway, in this game on Wasteland Dam, I don't play 2v2 much, but this map's been in the map pool forever, so I kind of do know the map names now. It's going to be Dry playing as the green vanilla nod, and up in the top of the map will be Futurama playing as the Black Hand. Two nod factions for the Russians in the top. And in the south, we will see playing as the purple Scrin. It's going to be Rex and his ally Phoenix. Going to be playing as the pink GDR. I was happy for them to be picking the same colors and factions, but Phoenix, he has gone to pink. You can't give Zocom jugs yet, of course. Zocom is one of those factions where you just have to accept that it is the way it is, because their aircraft is insane. Hammerheads with ceramic armor are absolutely insane. They just dominate the mid-game. I've always said Zocom is the mid-game faction. They have the Zocom Orca that is now $1,300. They have the Zone Shatterer. They have the cheaper infantry upgrade. They can do some insanely good mid-game pushes. The whole strategy with Zocom is to win the mid-game, get sufficiently ahead with a mid-game push to snowball in the late game. So much so that your opponent having a couple juggernauts won't even matter. Now in reality that doesn't really work, because it only takes 40 seconds to tech up to tier 3 in this game. The period between the early game and the late game is very small in Kane's Wrath. But Zocom is a mid-game faction, and mid-game factions don't work in this game yet, but they may do in the future. Maybe with one or two more adjustments to Zocom we can make that work. But at the same time, if Zocom becomes impossible to counter in the mid game, then they will suddenly become the best faction. Zone Shatterers were reduced in cost to $1,500. For some reason they were more expensive than the regular Shatterer tank, but despite having the exact same stats, only a micro intense ability was added. You'd think that they would just give Zocom the micro intense ability for free, considering that you are playing Zocom, the faction that specializes in zone and Zocom sonic type weaponry. Scorpion tanks out here for a drive. A Devourer push as well by Rex. This is the sort of strategy that can win games. Watchtower's coming down here, but it's over. The game's over. Sonic, these Obelisks of Light getting dropped on top of that. On top of that warp sphere. And that push failed catastrophically. Drive sniffed out the base push and went immediately for a tier 3. That is probably... How do you come back from that not working? The obelisk came down and the push failed. Now there's no TIV expansion for Rex, and he's about to lose his drone ship as well. AP ammo done for Phoenix. If this drone ship can live, it's not going to matter because there's a Redeemer on the way. 50 seconds that's going to take. There's a flame tank as well for Futurama just moving into this base. One flame tank just going to clean up the drone ship. And Rex is out of options. He won't have production. Another flame tank there for Drive. Nice teamwork by Drive and Futurama. The last two games they played pretty well. And this game is the first game that we're seeing sort of a one-sided show. Maybe that game on the map I forgot the name of it. Precipitate, whatever it's called. Oh man, Panda with the names. I don't know why he makes them so complicated. I don't know why he had to name all of his maps impossibly hard to remember names. But you know the map I'm talking about. That second game. One dev tank in the base, but I imagine that Obelisk has been queued by Drive, and that's just going to kill the dev tank in one shot if he gets rear damage off on the dev. Mantis being targeted. Why is there a Mantis? Oh, I don't know why Mantis is out. I would have personally gone for Bike Buggy. More utility, better against Orcas, for sure. Redeemer moving into this base, nothing to really stop it. One Juggernaut for Phoenix. Phoenix has to pretty much 1v2 this game. Hang on a second, guys. Hang on just 1 second. This dev tank is still going. There's 2 Shadow attacks, but they're going to get cleaned up now. Rex beaconing like mad, saying, look, there's a full health Redeemer there. How am I going to stop that Redeemer? It's simply not stoppable. I think a Shockwave Artillery has to come down right about now if he has any hopes of stopping it. Phoenix out of resources. He's going for a Marv. He's almost got his Marv out. Futurama doesn't have much income. Drive, meanwhile, does not have either. So it is essentially a 2v1. Can Phoenix... Can he actually 2v1 this Redeemer? Now, the moment those Orcas rearm and reload, he's gonna go ahead and just kill that Redeemer. I would get Centerpods here just for good measure, just in case. Oh man, that stealth tank almost getting destroyed. Look at that health bar. It is so small, you can't even see it. A buzzer could probably even kill that. That Redeemer kept alive by the Saboteur. Garrison Rex beaconing like mad, saying, look, that Redeemer, it has to be taken out. And the Marv is out, I believe, for Phoenix. Phoenix, I think he has a chance to win this match. With that Redeemer falling and the amount of stalling that Rex achieved on Drive, there is a chance that Rex can and Phoenix can pull something off here. Futurama is establishing an income himself. Rex is going to go ahead and grab 2 Husks. I like this. It's best to give the player who hasn't got much else to do the Husks, because he's going to micro those better than you are. The 4 Orcas are there. Radar jamming missile coming down. That's 15 seconds of you not having a radar, but all the pro players are used to having no radar anyways, because we all trained against being all in all the time. And generally, selling your MCV is normal in this game. Rex beaconing there to say, look, there's a stealth tank. Phoenix should probably keep the Zone Trooper back. Actually, why did Rex put both of his refs too close together? He's up against 2 Nod factions. This is a big mistake. This is a pretty clumsy error by Rex, because he's probably going to get punished by a double click. But he does get down a double refinery. Drive has been left to his own devices. He's got a lot of stealth tanks coming out, a fully saturated income. Futurama just being annoying there with bikes and stealth tanks. This Zone Trooper can probably jump jet forward and take out this stealth tank. Zone Trooper's moving in. Zone Trooper is just great units, man, at killing stealth tanks. They even have those lightning bolts on them as well in my alt 4K mod. Has one of those alt skins on them. If you didn't know, EA made 5 different skins for the Zone Trooper. Harvester inadvertently will give Phoenix the intel he needs to know what he's up against. So he's going to be able to see everything that's coming there. The sniper team's unfortunately getting taken out. I wonder if he puts the sniper teams in this garrison, if they can range units all the way over there. Imagine that. Probably not a good time to test and find out. Oh, Rex. Rex, there's a stealth tank there. Hopefully you notice. Rex doesn't notice. These stealth tanks are being a real pain in the ass. They are being a menace. The Marv. The Marv, what is Phoenix doing? He completely forgot about his epic unit. Why did he forget that? Oh, the Buzzer Swarm comes in a bit too late. That was disastrous. Phoenix, what was he focusing on? He's got a handful of pitbulls. He was trying to do something else, but then in the process loses his whole army. That is absolutely disastrous for him. He's got zone troopers, a lot of zone troopers. But against Confessor Cabals with upgrades, yeah, those aren't going to do too much. The pitbulls have to be doing some pretty major damage in the back. Phoenix needs to get back his Reclamator hub as soon as possible. He lost his MCV. Does he have a war factory? Yes, he does. Luckily, he didn't sell that one at home. Usually, players like to sell the war factory back at home. A bit of a mistake. That's a crippling mistake. They had a chance to come back in this game, and they just blew it the moment that Mar fell. I don't understand the mortar pitbull transition either. If you're going zone troopers, is it worth it to also go pitbulls at the same time? I would have personally just invested all into the double MCV push. If you win the top fight up here with your Marv, then that's going to put you into a good position. Okay, Rex takes the MCV. Okay, maybe they're a signal transmitter? Oh, the Mastermind falls. That makes the trade a little less worth it, in my opinion. A Conyard for a Mastermind. I suppose it's good, but when you're playing from this far behind, I don't know, man. Reclamator hub coming down for Phoenix in the expansion of Rex. Rex getting down another field, but that's a lot of zone. That's a lot. That is a lot of stealth tanks. Holy crap. Storm column pretty much has to be cute. Zone troopers, I hope that Phoenix has some around still. He's got one or two almost dead squads. You know what time it is, folks? It is time for an armory. Armories do give you back dead squad members. You can put zone troopers that are in that state into an armory and they will emerge as a full squad again. Completely worth it in the situation that Phoenix is in. Orca's coming in. It's not going to do too much. He doesn't even have the upgrades, man. I would love to see an armory. I hope that Phoenix knows that armories do that. He's got the opportunity here to heal that squad up to full. Pretty big infantry force. I think again this infantry is not being answered correctly. The stealth tanks were cleaned up though by the zone troopers. Again, no upgrade. This tech center taking damage. There's another one coming in here for Drive. Drive taking out that stasis chamber. He's going to avoid the stasis shield support power. This stasis shield is going to be cancelled. And he may even lose the ability to build a warp hexapod. Oh man. This is just about out of range. Rex has to know this is coming. Phoenix, the absolute god that he is, just focus fired the ground and killed that stealth tank. is going to allow Rex to get this Hexapod out. Oh man, some of these plays. If that wins the game, that's just epic. And we're seeing another match where no one gets quad turrets, 2 Nod factions, no quad turrets. Great awareness there by Phoenix. Let's give these guys credit, man. They are playing well. Now, even though Phoenix lost his army before, you know what would be just peachy at the moment? A storm column. A storm column right behind this refinery. That would be perfect. He needs some way, Rex needs some way of healing these dev ships up. He can't afford to lose them. He needs to get those back to base repair. You cannot lose those dev ships. Build a storm column. And the Ion Storm buffs up. It heals Skrin aircraft super quickly. This is silly. Rex. Don't. Just don't. Hexapod comes out. The Marv fell to what? To 4 beam cannons? Another Marv fell. I'm not sure how that died. This game is pretty crazy, guys. Oh no, these dev ships are just not healed up. Did Phoenix just kill his own Marv? I didn't quite catch that. That's the second Marv that Phoenix just donated this game. But if it weren't for Phoenix, Rex wouldn't have had a Hexapod, so we got an eye for an eye, I guess. This is... the shields come online, which is nice for these dev ships. This one's about 1 shot away from death otherwise. Look at the health bar on that thing. Hexapod absolutely hopeless at killing anything that moves without its garrisons. He's going to be like, I'm going to crush all over this frickin' flame tank. Stomp, stomp, stomp. 4 beam cannons, which would not normally be a problem because there's 2 jugs back there. Phoenix, there are 2 juggernauts right there. You can kill those beam cannons, sir. There's not a whole lot there to oppose you. A bunch of infantry which can be countered with the dev ships. The dev ships need to get back here with a storm column to buff them up. Storm column behind this war factory. And yeah, just build corrupt just for the Hexapod, and the base is being destroyed. 2 flame tanks, 4 drive coming in, only 1 Orca left, so yeah, Phoenix could lose the entirety of his base here. The 2 Juggernauts are also stranded. This Redeemer is going to kill them. Shockwave is ready to fire off. It's going to land on this Redeemer maybe, because sometimes the Redeemer, it doesn't hit the Redeemer sometimes. Oh my god, that was luck. Pure luck. Pure luck. I would send those 2 triples forward if I were Rex and try and get the ensured kill on this Redeemer. This Redeemer has to fall if the team in the south have any hope of bringing this one back. The 2 flame tanks still wreaking havoc on this base. The entirety of the base was destroyed, but having said that, it was of very little importance because there's not much Tiberium there to harvest. Where are the devastated warship? There's one over here. The dev ship has to be over here though, because this is where all the infantry are. Drone ship was teleported over to this position. Okay, and is this MCB going to be captured? Oh my god, he sells it instantly. Rex with that do you see how quick he sold that, guys? That was astonishingly quickly. Can this people give you focus down? Oh, it can, but the Hexapod falls. Nice attempt by Rex, but not enough accompanying forces to really do much against that army. Phoenix losing his Marv, I think, cost that team this game. Nice attempt to come back. I think they could have won this game several times, Phoenix and Rex, but they made some mistakes, and that cost them this match. So the Juggernauts actually ended up killing the Marv. And then the Rage Generator forced the Buzzers to attack the Marv. And then the Juggernauts were attacking the Buzzers from the Buzzer Hive, attacking the Marv, and then that killed the Marv. Yeah, that doesn't happen very often, does it? Okay, let's see if Phoenix and Rex can bring it back this time. Phoenix, he did well that game. He was 2v1 for a lot of that game. You can't blame him. Human errors do arise. Phoenix is only human after all. He almost won that game for the Rex and Phoenix, but not to be. It would have been epic if he had done so, but a couple of mistakes led to that game going to Drive and Futurama. Anyways, looks like Drive and Futurama are going to stick with the factions that they won with last time. They're going to go with two Nod factions once again. Black Hand and Nod. Not sure Black Hand is the way to go on this map. Is Black Hand great on Ice Arena? Is this called Ice Arena? Not sure why it's called Ice Arena. Does it resemble Arena in any way other than it being flat in some parts? Nonetheless though, is there any faction switch up from the side up here? Rex has gone back with the Nod faction. He's had enough with Scrint. Vanilla Nod, I'm presuming. He never goes for the sub-factions, even though I rate Mark of Kane pretty highly in team matches. I don't know why it's worth it also to go for a Militant Scout. Is it ever worthwhile to scout with militants in a 2v2? Because you're better off just going for a Raider buggy first and just revealing the entire map with that buggy. It's only if you are up against Skrin where militant scouting is decent, because you can anti-scout the opponent's buzzers. But these guys knew beforehand that they were up against two Nods, so it doesn't really make sense queuing a militant from a barracks. That's just my cup of tea. Raider buggy out for Futurama. So these guys, they know they're going to go for a Raider buggy scout. Only one player did it, which means it's not going to delay the harvester from both players. 4 and 2 there for Futurama. Drive as well on that 4 and 2 income. Scout coming in for Phoenix. Now, having said that, Rex did not go for a Raider buggy scout. That's curious. So he went for the 2 militants, but ultimately didn't go Raider buggy. Maybe that's actually fine in the end. A little bit more risky, a little bit more not optimal, but it's actually going to work in his favor. 2 War Factory from Drive, 2 War Factory from Rex. Rex knows about it. Beacon coming down there by Futurama. He's going to see that there are 2 War Factories as well for Rex. So Drive knows that Scorpion Tanks is better in this situation. In the top of the map, we see an attack coming in for Rex, but there are already Black Hand Infantry out for Futurama. Is there a shrine? Oh my god. Black Disciple upgrade on 2 refineries for Futurama. A great response by him. This is an amazing counter to what we're seeing in this game. Now, having said that, the GDI player has been unopposed this whole game, and all he has to do now is go for a command post, get AP ammo, and just spam a bunch of APs and just A move in to Futurama. Hammerheads at this point in time would be a great answer. If Rex can sufficiently thin out the bike numbers of Drive, then yeah, Hammerheads are going to be looking pretty good for Phoenix. These drive-bys are just, you know, scouting more or less. There's nothing much else being accomplished. Harvester, despite the infantry play that we saw before, may get taken out. No, never mind. Phoenix isn't paying attention. Again, he seems to be focused on something else. Yeah, APC's coming out. AP ammo. Did it even get researched? No, he forgot AP ammo. That is an absolute disaster. No AP ammo on the way. I'm not sure how long Phoenix has had that online for, but he has not bothered to research the AP ammo upgrade. He does begin to get it now. He's thinking to himself, why is it taking this long to get AP ammo? The bike buggy are sweeping in to this base. And Rex, I feel like Drive could have just assisted Futurama and taken out, what's his name, Phoenix then and there. This AP ammo stalling for this long is really a big problem. It's giving Futurama all the time in the world to recover from that opening, and he's now going to be taking up to tier 3. I think likewise Phoenix is also taking up to tier 3. This AP ammo upgrade is slowly researching. I'm genuinely having fun just commentating this, because it is fun to watch. Even if I wasn't streaming and commentating, I would be having a blast watching this series. I think Hammerheads is the way to go for Phoenix. I don't know if tier 3 is the way personally. I don't know, man. I think Hammerheads is the key to success against Black Hand. Just a lot of infantry still being spammed. I'm not sure if infantry spam either is a good idea. This is the point in time where Black Hand is gonna make less and less sense on such a map. GDI shader looks really nice on this map as well. Scorpion tanks, lasers on the way, nice. What's the Raider buggies deal more damage to infantry, so Rex can build those if he encounters Inf. Scorpion tanks for either side. Dozer blades. Not online for Drive, he's about to get it now, though laser capacitors is researched. Dozer blades versus laser capacitors. This infantry, it looks pretty unstoppable. It's doing way too much damage. Both the refineries for, ouch, that is insanely crippling for GDI. That's probably going to be it for Phoenix. As you can see, he doesn't have the funds to queue anything because he just lost both of his refineries. He's out of money. The Scorpions are also just going to beeline up to this base and take out. Never mind, those are Rex's Scorps. Where are Drive's Scorps? I think this Scorp army could just crush in through all this infantry. No, I don't believe engaging the forces of Drive is a good idea. Yeah, he just fell right into the trap of losing his Scorp army to the tip vein. That was disastrous. All those tanks, even though they didn't fall, they're taking damage to the one click. That is game over. So it looks like Futurama and Drive are going to take five. They're going to win this series 5-3. All fell apart in the end for Rex and Phoenix, but they tried. I don't see any successful counterattack happening. Rex has income, he has the potential to continue, but he decides ultimately to throw in the towel. Phoenix, he had nothing left. He lost both of his refineries. He got double clicked, and that was the game. He forgot AP ammo. That was his biggest mistake. If he had not forgot AP ammo, he could have pushed back that infantry army a lot sooner and capitalized by building hammerheads afterwards. I think that was his biggest mistake in that game. And then Rex, he suicided his buggy army. He went for the bikes and just thrown them into drive and then lost all of them.